Welcome to Old Classic Car on this 7th instalment of original photos of British cars of the 1950s and 1960s. And to begin with, one of many photos that have been sent by visitors to the channel. This is one of Jim's colour photos, and here we've got a 1964 Cortina Mark I pursuing what appears to be a Wolseley 1885. This is Hopeman Harbour up in Moray, Scotland. And I'm guessing probably just about the early 1970s, I would have thought, looking at the cars there. I've got a Mini and another Land Crab on the left, various French cars as well. And the first of several photos sent over by Tony Hearns, so thanks to him for these. This is a Triumph TR3 on the Digala Ferry, Western Province, Ceylon, now Sri Lanka, in 1959. Now to a BMC service facility. I'm not quite sure where this was. Was it Longbridge or was it Cowley? We've got various Austins and Morrises in view. There's a Somerset with a dented boot lid on the left there, an MGA, Frog Eye Sprite, A40 Farina, another Austin Cambridge, all sorts there. And a little pickup truck on the right hand side. Great photo. And next we have a side-on view of a Bondi Keep. These were Herald based, Triumph Herald based chassis and engine, and the door is in fact from the Triumph Herald, albeit with a different door frame at the top. The rest of the body was fiberglass. Now, several photos provided by Keith. This one is of an Austin Gipsy YOG 285. That's a Birmingham series from 1959. His father ran a plant hire business down in the Midlands after the war, and this is one of several photos that were used in connection with that particular company. There's a side-on view of the same little Austin, and an interesting little road roller. If you know what make of roller we've got in this particular photo, please pop a note into the comments and let me know. Now back to Jim's wonderful colour photographs here. This is Granton-on-Spey up in Scotland. We've got various classic cars here. We've got a Morris Minor on the left, Hilmer Minx driving along and parked up, a Mark II Cortina, an Anglia 105E, a couple of 1100s, and there's a Mark II Bedford CA just a little bit further away. Fantastic scene, very few road signs and road markings. In the same town, Granton-on-Spey, we've got an Austin 1100 there on the right hand side with an Anglia behind it, Triumph Herald, there's a Bedford CF Mark I van, and facing that a little bit further to the left is another Bedford, this time an HA van. What a wonderful scene that is. Another of Tony's photos here, we've got GKG 704, head-on view of a Morris Oxford MO. This is the revised MO. The earlier versions had the bonnet curving right down to the grille, but people were clouting their heads on them, so they squared off the front edges of the bonnet so that it was a little less dangerous to work on. That registration series is from 1952. Now, KSO 103 is a Mark III Ford Zephyr. This is Forest, the main street in Forest up in Scotland. So we've got the Zephyr driving along, and there's a Humber on the right hand side there. On the left, Morris Minor Traveller and a van. Next up, I'm not quite sure, is that a PA Velox, I'm guessing, another Morris Minor, Triumph Herald, and so on. Now, back to Salon and Tony's photographs, and here we have a Ford Consul Mark II Saloon. Another of Tony's great photos here, colour one this time, and we've got a fantastic estate car version of the Vauxhall Victor F-Type. Two-tone car, tailgate raised and a matching boat to go with it. Quite a stylish car, very American in influence. The rear side windows curved around the back as they turn around to the tailgate, and quite a nice car. One of my own photos now, this was taken out of a hotel at some unknown seaside location. We've got a Morris van with extra windows driving past. There's a Morris Cowley parked facing the sea, and alongside that, what do we have? An Austin 8, I think that is. Could be a 10, I can't see the back window. Another of Keith's photos, that's him, second from the left in this particular photo. Him and his mates are leaning on a Vauxhall Viva HA from 1964. Carrying on with this collection of old photographs, 50s, 60s and into the 1970s just, we've got another fantastic colour photo here from Jim, again up in the Moray area, and we've got a couple of those pesky foreign jobs starting to make an appearance in this particular street scene, a Fiat 600 and a Saab 96. There's a Mark 1 Mini on the right there, and there's a Vauxhall Cresta, PB Cresta with L plates on it. Quite an interesting old van up there as well. Same town, and another Mark III Zephyr driving up towards us. I think that's a Daimler in the background. There's an Anglia 105E Estate and a Morris Oxford just to the left. I do love these old colour photographs. There's a Corsair just on the left hand side there. This is George Street in Edinburgh. Got a Volvo 140, Hillman Minx or a Hunter. Another 1100 on the right is one of the front wheel drive Triumph 1300s. Bit of everything there. There's an HA Viva turning right towards us. Still in Edinburgh, and in the foreground we can just about make out a Jaguar Mark II with a Ford 100E behind that. And what's that beyond that? I'm not quite sure. Is it a Super Minx perhaps? Another fabulous old photo here from Tony. We've got a Singer Gazelle convertible. That's a rare beast. This was in Ceylon as before, and you can tell by that front wing that it had a little bit of a nerf. That was on a mountain road apparently. It's a little bit bent, which is a shame. No hubcaps on this car. Back to Jim's colour photographs now. Got a red Mini and various other vehicles. This is Banff in Aberdeenshire. First of I think 3 photographs from this particular town. There's a little green standard 10 in the distance. But again, very few road markings, no signs, park where you want. All looks very halcyon indeed compared to nowadays, I guess. And also in Banff, we've got this very quiet back street with a Hillman Minx just parked down there on the right hand side with the bonnet raised, I think. Perhaps there was some mechanical malady under its bonnet, we'll never know, but great scene. And still in Banff, another quiet road. There's a Hillman Minx or a Hunter there. There's that a Fiat 128 behind it, and there's a Viva HA, got a Farina a little bit further away, but very quiet. Like I say, very few road signs, plenty of oil marks on the road. This is an interesting photograph. This is a special built in the 1950s by a Leicester-based enthusiast. Based on an MG, it was alley-bodied and it had a Fiat 1100cc engine under its swoopy body. In the background there's an Austin 8 and a little pickup truck which looks a bit like a Ford, but the windscreen is the wrong shape, so I'm not quite sure what that is. Back to Keith, and here's the man himself. This was 1963 and he's posed with his dad's Ford 400E panel van. As you can see, it's Contractor's Plant Limited, a plant hire business. AA badge on the front there. Great scene, great picture. Thanks for that, Keith. Back to Jim and his colour photos. We've got a pre-war Austin 10 Cambridge driving away, so it's getting on a little bit by this point in time. There's an A40 Devon driving towards us, and in the background is its replacement, the Austin A40 Somerset. This is Elgin, again up in Scotland. Still in Elgin is this wonderful old photograph. Of all the photos, this is probably the best one to pause and just have a proper study of. We've got all sorts here. We've got a Mark 1 console driving along with L plates. There's a standard Pennant parked on the right with a Herald Coupe behind it, Anglia, a Victor, another Herald, an Imp, all sorts. And there's a J-type van with a gown body, by the look of it, just driving up in the distance. And here, a Bentley standard steel saloon, or the Mark 6. This photo was taken in 1956. Thanks to Tony for this and all the other photos that he sent over. If you've got any old photographs like this taken in the 50s, 60s, and you'd be happy for them to be included in a future video like this, please get in touch. Another photo from Keith here, ROJ 437, that's a Ford Consul Mark 1, that's a Birmingham series introduced in April 1955. Again, AA badge on the front and a little extra spot lamp. This scene is Butte, up in Scotland. The date is June 1958. We've got a Ford E83W van parked on the left there, probably doing some local deliveries, maybe to Ross's Ironmonger, outside which it is parked. Again, lots going on there, lots of fashions and so on. What a great scene that is. I love these old colour shots. Over to Ceylon, and a MGA being driven at speed in a car club event somewhere. Back to Keith and his veritable feast of photographs, and here he is with a Morris 1100 from 1967 on a camping trip. And continuing with these old photographs of cars, classic cars, British cars, etc. We've got a side-on view of a Lotus 7 Series 1. Next up, a engine bay view of the same car. There's a Ford side valve engine complete with aquaplane superhead, alley head on it, aquaplane twin SU conversion as well, so that was I'll certainly pep up the 1172cc Ford side valve engine somewhat. Very rural scene now from Jim, another colour photograph, and this is possibly on the road towards or near Stewarton. FGE is a Glasgow registration series. That's a Briggs-bodied LD10 Lanchester. You could get a Barker-bodied version, and this is the Briggs type. Back to Tony, and here's the man himself in Ceylon, serving with the RAF in the car, or rather the pickup truck, is a standard Vanguard. There's another view of YOG 285, the Austin Gipsy, as used by Contractor's plant of Birmingham Limited, Sheldon, Birmingham, in the, I'm guessing, late 1950s, early 1960s, and the little road roller is just on the left there in the undergrowth. There it is again, and a colour photograph this time with various items of equipment on the left there, and behind the Austin Gipsy we've got a Land Rover, an early Land Rover, and a Leyland Comet lorry. Now this photo probably dates to just about into the 1970s, but it's very 1960s in spirit. We've got La Marina, got an L registration Austin or Morris 1100, and that's a Peugeot, the little estate car right next to the building, and another Marina off to the right. And this is Loch Lomond. In the same location, we can see that Marina from a different view, and there's a Bedford lorry, one of the big Farinas, and a little van. But what make is that van? Is that a 400E? There's a leaf just blocking part of the front, but I think it's a 400E panel van. It's a nice old lorry photo here. We've got a G registration, so late 68, early 1969 Ford D series tipper. Still plenty of these old car photos to come. Next up is from, let's have a look, 1959, another one of Tony's photographs, and this is a standard Ensign. This was like the basic version of the Vanguard Phase 3 back in the day. And talking of Phase 3 standard Vanguards, we've got another example here. This is also in Ceylon. Nice old photograph. I'm not quite sure of the exact location, but yeah, one of standard's finest. Back to one of Keith's photos now, and we have a gaggle of Ford Transit Mark 1s, registered probably late 1969. A side-on view now of a 1950s Commer lorry, and what appears to be, is that a Bentley or a Rolls-Royce on the back, minus bodywork. Was that going off to a scrapyard, or was it going to be rebodied, I wonder? I guess we'll never know. There's no registration details for either vehicle with this particular photo. This one's from my own collection. There's Keith with his 1967 MGB Roadster. The photo dates to several years later, probably early 1970s, judging by the Hillman Avenger and so on in the background. First of two photos now from Tony of his Mark 1 Austin Mini EVY 587D. That's a 1966 car. The location is the Brecon Beacons in South Wales. Very, very grubby looking car. It's obviously seen a fair bit of use by this point in time. Another photo of the same car. The location of this one is the A49 down the Herefordshire way somewhere. This was around the time of the foot and mouth crisis, and he sort of comments that back on the 49 you'd often have to drive through disinfectant troughs to sort of help prevent the spread of that particular disease. Interesting road roller there. What make of road roller is that one, I wonder? Now another photo from my own collection. We've got VBP 780, an unidentified lorry from about 1956. And it's had a very unfortunate collision with a Triumph Roadster. In the distance is a Bedford RL, and on the left, I think, a Mark 1, so 2.4 or 3.4 Jaguar Saloon. Here's Keith again, this time in a 1966 Triumph Vitesse convertible. Now here's an old British sports car you don't come across all too often. This is an Elva BMW GT. Quite a rare car indeed, from the early to mid 1960s. This one was aluminium bodied, but I think there were plans to also produce a fiberglass bodied version. I don't know how many of these were made, but very few, I believe. There's Keith's chrome bumper MGB. That's a J-Reg car from 1970. There's a Mark II Cortina just in the background parked up, and a milk float. Clearly a cold time of year, judging by the lack of leaves on the trees. Now, a great photo here, three cars taking part in a motor club event. We've got a Jowett Jupiter on the left, a Standard 10 in the middle, and on the right, a 1946 registered MGTC. I checked the registrations out, but none of them appear to be current anymore, so presumably all three cars are long gone, sadly. I think this is an old press photo. This is from my own collection of pictures, 796 TAR. That's a Hertfordshire registered Lotus Elan. Again, I checked this one out, but there's no sign of it on DVLA. If you know what happened to any of the cars that are featured in this particular video or any of the previous videos, let me know in the comments. That'd be great to hear from you. A nighttime shot now of Stewart and Arden Limited car dealership. This is their head office in Acton. Morris Cars sign in the window there. Various Morrises on display. A lone Austin A30, I think, parked outside. Could be an A35. There's a very young Keith with his dad, and another example of the F-Type Vauxhall Victor Deluxe, this time two-tone car, 187 KHA. There's an interesting shot, I think it's probably a press photo, another from my own collection this time, on the Coronation Safari Rally. We've got a Hillman Husky estate car. Various modifications. There's a natty grille guard you can just about make out, a couple of extra lamps, and stuck on the inside of the windscreen is a suction Hellfoss is the make lamp. You can angle that to illuminate street signs at night. Another photo from Keith now, that's his dad posing with a new Riley 1.5 saloon. Very much like the Wolseley 1500, based on the Morris Minor, but it had the B-Series engine, and the Riley had the twin carburettors. The Wolseley was just a single carb. Back to another BMC service facility, but again I'm not quite sure where this is because there are no notes with it. We've got an Austin Cambridge, there's an Austin 16 and an A35 complete with roof rack, so those aren't all brand new cars. There's an Austin Healey just on the left in the distance next to the lorry, so it's some sort of service depot, service facility by the look of it. Now we have an Armstrong Siddeley Sapphire. This belonged to Keith's dad. And for a time he ran his business out of Castle Bromwich, the former wartime airfield, in one of the old hangars there. And this colour shot is from that location. Carrying on with these old photos now, another photo from Keith's archives, and we've got an Austin 152 flatbed truck. Just about to see a 400E and an Austin, I think, lorry on the right hand side. There's a side view of one of the Austin 152s, interesting little digger on the back, and another little one on a trailer behind the Austin. What a great scene that is. I'm guessing this is at Castle Bromwich again. Just a few more photos to go. Another from Keith here. We've got XOH637. That's a Birmingham registered, circa 1958 or early 59 Ford Consul Mark II. Actually, if you've got any photographs similar to these of cars back in the 50s and 60s, it would be great to see them and feature them in a future video, because people do love seeing these pictures. Another photo now of a Mini, this from Keith again, 121 ELC, slightly modified Mini. We've got the stripe up the bonnet, and the number plate stuck on the front of the bonnet, hubcaps removed, quite a sporty looking little car. Back to a BMC facility, and we've got a Austin A40 Farina Mark I being given a water test. Now again, this is it's not a brand new car. There's badges on the front which makes me think it's a young car, but not brand new. And the little circular sticker on the screen near the steering wheel is for a brand of antifreeze, but I can't quite remember which brand it is. And rounding out this collection of old photos of British cars in the 50s and 60s, we have this 1966 registered Bedford HA van, and a couple of items of plant in the background. And that rounds out this collection of photographs, part 7 of original photos, British cars of the 1950s and 1960s. Thanks to everyone who's contributed their own photos for this particular video and the videos that have come on before. If you've not seen the previous videos in this series, please check them out. They're all on the channel here now, and there'll be more videos along very, very soon. So bye for now.